Welcome, everyone, to another episode of season 6 of the Runners Roundtable. It is the Beyond Pace season, and it is the season dedicated to our favorite running memories. And each episode features a different memory that reminds us that running is so expansive and it is not just something you do, but it's something you experience and it's something you feel and it's something that helps us redefine who we are. So I'm so grateful this entire season, and I'm incredibly grateful that I have Abigail Michelle with us and me today. Abigail's a fellow Team Sugar Runs athlete, and we met in London in 2023, which feels like another lifetime. And a lot has happened in your life since 2023. And it's really cool anytime I meet someone in person just to kind of follow along the journey and to feel lots of gratitude. I think I'm just in a state of gratitude, lots of gratitude that because of running, I get to know who you are. And because of running, we got to meet of all places. It was in London, like just so the way running brought us together, I think is something that I marvel at. So I want to thank you for showing up to that run. And oh my gosh, do you remember how we even did like a reel of us like running across?
Yes, I'm picturing it in my head right now. And I think we need to do a redo like somewhere else. Maybe when you're in Chicago, we do it in front of Buckingham Fountain. I mean,
Think so. I'm even more grateful because anytime I meet up with the Team Sugar Runs athletes, I'm always like, let's do a reel. And it's always this idea that's just kind of out there. And that one was all of us just running across.
yeah.
So I want to thank you as well for being open to my cuckoo ideas with that. But now I want to give you an opportunity to introduce yourself to us. So it's a three-part question, and it's just your name, your running history, and your current relationship with running.
Sounds good. Hi, I am Abigail. And as Stephanie said, I am a teammate of hers. We are actually coached by the same person. I'm so grateful to meet her in London. I think I don't know, when I finally met you, it didn't even feel like we were meeting for the first time. It just felt so natural. And I'm so grateful to have you in my life. And every time I talk to you, I walk away like I just had a therapy session. So thank you for that. So that is a blessing. Um, I first started running, got interested in running because I volunteered at the 2016 Chicago Marathon at the 26th mile. And at the time, I was, um, I'm still a severe asthmatic, and I was carrying a nebulizer everywhere I went, and I was driving around with a handicap placard. But I was so inspired. I mean, they say, if you want inspiration, watch a marathon. And boy, was I inspired. So many people of different walks of life, so many abilities, different countries, and just, you know, pushing themselves like outside of their comfort zone, because that is where growth really happens. And so I wanted to be a part of that. Whatever I felt, I wanted to be a part of it. And I vowed I would return as a runner. And so I made it happen, and I joined Team Ronald McDonald House Charities. And that's been a lifelong commitment with them now. It's another family for me. And I don't have the handicap placard anymore. I don't have the nebulizer anymore. And it's just, uh, that was just so inspiring for me because I was never the athlete in high school. I was the one that wanted to get out of running the mile. And so to do something like this, I think my family thought I was crazy because this was so out of character for me. But I think running has given me so much more than the medal at the end of the finish line. So I'm so grateful for that. And my relationship with running now has really evolved. And I think all of us have evolved in our running journey, just like life. Before I would chase personal records, but then I have been forced to pivot and really run with gratitude. Uh, it's not about the time anymore, because I think we tie so much of our worth to that number on the clock. And really, you have to think about what your why is beyond that, because this is not going to be sustainable then. Because you're never going to be satisfied because you're always going to try to chase a faster time. But for me, it's so much more. And I'm grateful for every time that I could just even go out for a run. Uh, when I start my morning and I see the sunrise and I hear my feet hitting the pavement, and it's very meditative for me. I live with a rabbit, and so I love seeing the bunnies when it's mating season. I have two dogs that I love visiting on the trail, and when they see me, they run, and I have exchanges with their dog mom, and those are the moments that I love.
Yeah, I am going to kind of introduce an element of your story, if it's okay with you.
Hmm.
The experience you had at a race where another runner collided with you. And I want to bring that up because in maybe many ways, you had no choice but to pivot your running
Hmm.
as you dealt with recovering from that collision. And the question I have for you is, how can we do a better job at pivoting when life forces us into pivot, right? Because it's one thing to pivot and be like, you know what, this is no longer serving me. I'm going to try something different. And it's another thing to pivot because if you don't pivot, you're not going to be able to continue doing this thing that you love. So can you, not saying you have to walk us through what was your mental state when everything was happening, but just now being maybe a little separated from that experience of looking back, what were the tools or what was your strength like? Maybe that's the better question. What was your strength like that allowed you to get to where you are right now, embracing that pivot?
That's a great question. I That was actually very triggering for me, and for me to return to that race a year later, I felt like that was a battle that was won. So just to give people some background, um, I was I I was just a month out from finishing Tokyo, um, and I was just running an easy pace through an organized race in the city, and somebody collided into me without warning, and I fell. There was blood coming out of my eye. Um, Lots of bruises, gravel in my mouth, and it was startling and really scary. But in that moment, I felt the adrenaline, and for some reason, I told them at the aid station, "Just patch me up. I'm going to finish this race." And I am not even at the 5 mile mark, and this is a 10-mile race. So it was the bloodiest finisher photo. And then I went into the ambulance, and then that's when I started crying. Um, but it was a long journey back. I actually had to take a leave from work, um, because I had to learn how to talk again. I had trouble with depth perception. Um, I had a lot of anxiety. I had trouble with balance. I still struggle with that a little bit. If you notice my more recent races, I'm always wearing sunglasses and a hat, and that's part of the concussion protocol. Because sometimes if I'm running on a hilly course, the changes in horizon can be very hard for me. So I'm very particular about the sunglasses. They have to have a thick arm, and then the visor helps that too. Um, but really, I just, I really felt like I had no choice but to, fight for yourself. I mean,
Mm.
and I think that's, you know, running is such a metaphor for life. And you just, we don't want to give up on the race and you don't want to give up on yourself. And so I, I just kept pushing, like, these answers weren't good enough for me. I'm still going to work at it, doing puzzles at home, practicing talking, um, and seeking all the help I needed. I mean, my concussion doctor is very well known. She's done a TED Talk. I saw a therapist that treats professional athletes in the Chicagoland area. Um, and everybody was really patient with me. And then I really had to learn how to run again and feel comfortable running because I had anxiety about going through aid stations or being on a crowded course. And it wasn't immediate, but you just can't give up on yourself, just little steps at a time, just like in a build, right? We're not going to go run 12 miles for your first long run in a build. It's so just little steps and give yourself grace. That, you know, give yourself the time that you need.
You're talking about trusting the process on almost a deeper level, right? Because
Yeah.
you're trusting your recovery. And we're talking about a physical recovery, a mental recovery. And that was going to be my question in terms of like, because now you are a 6-star finisher. And for those who don't know, 6 stars, it's marathon majors, Boston, Tokyo, London, Chicago, New York, and Berlin. And you've got your 6 stars. And again, for people who don't know, these are massive events. And I mean, like all around, going to expo, it's busy. Race morning, it's busy. In your start corral, it's busy. On the race course, it's busy. When you finish, it's busy. So just to think about the physical recovery that you had to do, and plus the mental recovery that you had to do to get comfortable being in that situation or being in that environment again, it's just trusting the process on a deeper level. Because now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, oh my God, there's so much that as someone who's not had that experience, I don't think about when I'm racing, right? Like, I don't think about, you know, I don't, I worry about going through an aid station because I don't want to trip, right? Especially
Hmm.
when there's water or banana peels
Yeah.
or whatever the case is. But it's never because I'm worried about the runner next to me or the runner behind me. So you are operating with a different level of awareness, which again means that you have to trust the process in a deeper way. So is your brain tired?
Since that concussion, I actually have to take a nap midday. So usually during my lunch hour, I will take a nap and work is aware of that. And I'll usually try to um, eat my lunch during a meeting. So that way I do have my lunch. But so I definitely have to go down for a nap now.
Yeah. Okay. So pivoting,
Hmm.
something you've done. And again, I'm going to share a part of your story, and
That's fine.
we only go as deep as you want to go, but
Yeah.
as part of your recovery, you had a lot of races that you signed up for and did not start. Can you walk us through how you got over that, for a lack of a better question for it? Because I just remember following you and all these races, and you even had a post. I can't remember when, but you had a post where you listed, hey, these were all the races that I was signed up for, and I did not start, and I did not start, and I did not start, and I did not start. And I saw that and I thought, well, that sucks. But more than anything, I saw that and I thought, but she's still showing up and she's still hoping.
Hmm.
that one of those races will be the start and one of those races will be the finish. So can you, again, like help us out here in terms of a DNS did not start?
Yeah.
Does not mean it's the end of the world, even though the moment you probably made that decision to not start the race might have felt like it.
So that all started, I I had a great 2023, that's when we met. Um, and then I had a surgery that was planned once I returned from London. And you know, Berlin, I ran 55 seconds within my PR. I didn't realize that the Brandenburg Gate wasn't the finish line. And I did drop my salt sticks at mile 17. And that's when my right quad, I felt like a strain. And then, and I ran Chicago for fun for, 2 weeks afterwards. There's no way I was going to race that one. And then in 24, I ran Tokyo and I felt great, still within a couple minutes of my PR. I'm back at my PR. Like I'm racing and I'm feeling great. And I had a great build in the summer in 24, had two 20-milers, felt great. And the morning of Chicago, I was even contemplating not even lining up because I felt something was off. But sometimes when you're going on a run, you don't feel like it. And when you start running, okay, you know what? I can actually run. When you feel like a little cold coming on, okay, I'm just gonna do this. Just a little trot around the city. Um, but then mile 7, I was in extreme pain. Both upper thighs were just on fire. And 7 is very early in a marathon to feel that. And it was the first time that I was going to meet our coach, Jessica, in person. And, of course, I want to celebrate with her and the rest of Team Sugar Runs. Everybody was there. Um, and we had to walk it in late in the race. And we didn't know what was going on. And we suspected that I might have stress fractures. And um, and I was scheduled to run New York in 24. And that was the first DNS. We had MRIs done, diagnosed stress fractures. So I begged the orthopedic team, will you just let me walk New York? Just let me walk it. And this is my 5th star. And this is the danger with chasing the 6 stars, right? You don't necessarily do what's best for you. It's hard to get these bibs. It's so competitive now.
Mhm.
And you just want to line up when you can. And that's why I've had back-to-back races, because when the opportunity arises, you just have to take advantage of it. I still flew out. We still spectated, but to see my name on the wall at the expo was just really hard. But I really tried to focus on the positive that I would be there. And then that's when all the DNSs started. I got into the lottery for Tokyo. Um, it wasn't so bad to miss it because I had already gone, but there is no deferral for Tokyo. And then just you name it, I had a DNS it. And I was misdiagnosed for a long time, and it was never stress fractures. So um, it was actually, let's say, a hematological disorder. And if you follow me on social media, I am a little more open about it on social media because I did want to bring some awareness to it. But I had to beg um, the team after we had figured out what was going on. I begged the medical team, can I run New York? And I didn't get clearance until September 15th to run New York.
Oh
At
my
the
God.
same at the same time, I was training, hoping to run New York. Um, I don't know if any of you have aqua jogged. That could be the most boring thing ever. People staring at you, you're not moving very fast, and just biking, but I wasn't allowed to bike outside because they were afraid I was going to fall. So Here I am biking inside. Um, it's you have to get really creative and then also because they're worried about my legs. So I can't strength train that hard because I have to worry about the legs. So a lot of growth happened. And it hasn't even been like a full year since that diagnosis.
There's a lot. And that's why I started, in
Yeah.
2023 when we met, a lot has happened in your life and a lot has changed. And it seems like you've done your best to roll with the literal punches and all these things that are unexpected and all these things that are, again, on the one hand, as someone who knows you personally, I'm like, I hate that you have to go through all of this. And on the other hand, as someone who knows you, I'm just like, dang, she is so strong because you could have said, you know what? Running just isn't it. Like running's not good for me, or running's not this, or to get back to running is too hard, or whatever the case is, right? You could have decided, I'm no longer going to be a runner. But that's not what you've done, right? You've been creative with how you're training. You have been open to not starting the races, right? Always holding out that hope that you are going to be able to do those races, but you never gave up hope that
Mhm.
you would be able to get back to running. And I think that's really powerful because setbacks are not there. We just don't handle setbacks. And runners, honestly, runners just in general, we don't handle setbacks very well because we want to, we want to follow the plan. We want everything to work out. We want to do the race. We want to do all this stuff. We, in many ways, act like we are owed the finish line, right? Like,
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah,
and
that's
it's like, you're actually not owed anything. So I'm gonna have more questions for you, but now I kind of want to bring us into it because I have a feeling in my heart that it's all going to tie in together. So
yeah.
I want to bring us to the theme of this episode, which is your
Mhm.
favorite running memory, and ask you, do you have a memory that you can share with us?
Oh, I have several. Uh,
You're like, wait a minute, yeah.
I think the most powerful one that stands out in my mind is running the Chicago Marathon in 23. Um, and I'm running at an easy pace, so it's I'm enjoying it a little more, but at mile 23, nobody's really enjoying it. But I met a gentleman who was telling me he was trying to hurry up to get to the finish line because his wife is waiting for him. She had run, and he knows that she ran a lot faster than he did. And he's showing me his head, showing me the scars. He just had brain surgery in August, and the race is in October. And so I think it's moments like that. I people inspire me. I mean, I sometimes I have a hard time when people say I inspire them. It's because, I am inspired by others. So for him to line up for a marathon just a couple months after having brain surgery and showing me his scars, and he is just so grateful to be out there. That's that's so powerful, right? It's reclaiming that part of yourself that it's not the end. I think I know it's like you can't even. Um, and my strong work ethic, I grew up in a traditional Asian household. My parents are immigrants. I am first generation. And to see them not have anything and build a life out of nothing, I don't give up easily because they wouldn't give up. That's the life that they wanted for me. That's what they sacrificed for. So, I mean, me doing these races, my parents aren't able to spectate, but my dad always wants a jacket every time I run a major. And I told him, I said, Dad, it might be 10 years before I'm going to buy you a Boston jacket. So I'm so sorry. And then, we bought it a lot earlier than we thought would happen. And yeah, I just, another memory, I mean, when I ran New York, to see all those athletes with Achilles, of all abilities, and then to see the people that are guiding them. I already had that talk with Jessica. I think that's a route that I would want to take after this. Um, because helping other people fulfill their dreams. Like I would love to be a part of that. Um,
I just want to say, I think it's ironic that you're like, people inspire me. And I feel it's so weird when people say I'm inspiring. And yet I want to go and I want to help people fulfill their dreams, which is inspiring, right? So it's so interesting how, and I say that just because there's almost this, I really don't know if it's a first generation.
yeah.
Are you the eldest child?
Yes, I am the eldest child.
Okay. So I'm like, so now I'm like, I don't know, is it a first generation eldest child? Because it's almost like for me, I don't like when the spotlight is on me, right? I don't
Right.
like having too much attention. Although I do these things that are very like attention grabbing, right? Like running a
Yeah.
marathon is something that's incredible. Hosting this podcast is incredible. Sharing our story on Instagram, like those are little things that are like, but wait, we do want the attention. We just don't want like too much attention. Or for myself, it's I always say like I like to be the hype person, right? I like to be the person that's
Yes.
behind the scenes,
Yes.
helping everyone else shine. So to me, it's ironic, and it must be some first generation that is just messing with us, because when I think about just even you, one, it's the kindness of talking to people on the course of like,
Hmm.
no, it's not like he said, "Oh, hey, my name is so and so, and I had surgery in August." It's probably you had a conversation with him, right? Like there was actually
Yeah. Yeah.
words and stuff that were exchanged, that it's like you created this connection with that person while you were out there. When you're in New York City, you are, even if you're not interacting with the Achilles people, you are still creating that connection of awe, of like, oh my God, this is amazing. And this is something I would want to do. This is something that I would want to, sacrifice isn't the right word, but it's kind of like you still have to go through the process of training for a marathon and preparing
Yes.
yourself to do a marathon. So I guess that's why sacrifice is the word that came to me, because it's kind of like you are still making those sacrifices and you are still pushing your body and challenging your body to do something really hard, all in an effort to help someone else do that thing that's hard for them as well. So it's not like, so it's just, I'm just going to chalk it up to just first gen, eldest daughter. That's what it is. That's just it. But I do, I love these memories because I think it goes so in line with what you said about you have this ethic of not giving up easily, right? Of like,
Hmm.
so yeah, because you have that, you're going to recognize that more quickly in other people of, and I'm thinking of mile 23 of Chicago, right? If you see that person, you're going to be like, I know for me, I'd be like, well, shit, I'm not going to complain. Like,
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly. I have nothing to complain about. Exactly what I was thinking. I have nothing to complain about. Or even, New York. I mean, I ran the New York City half. Somebody on crutches. Started on crutches. Those people are heroes. Those should be celebrated. And you know what? Yeah, it's great if you can run like a really fast half, but my gosh, I that to me is incredible.
well, it's you're running when kind of the field is stacked against you. right?
Absolutely.
Where you don't think about, and it's again connected to what I was saying earlier in terms of like, oh, when I go through an aid station, I'm not thinking about, anyone
Hmm.
colliding with me because I'm blind to that experience because it has not been my experience. And
Hmm.
so much of running, I feel, is full of moments of that, of you see someone else and you're like, well, it's like the same thing. Like when I see amputee runners, or even just something as simple as a parent pushing a kid in a stroller, where I'm like, all right, like we're making it happen with whatever our situation is. And yeah, the guide runners and all of that. Like there's so many people that show up at races that if you are paying attention, they're all just these little like nuggets of gratitude of look at what we can do, regardless of what's our life circumstances is, regardless of what's happening in our bodies. Like, look at how amazing it is that we can show up and we can do this, and that we are going to fight to get this done. And that's why I love races. And I've said it. I even told my daughter this the other day. I'm like, I love races so much because it's all our stories are coming together in one time. And just for that one moment, all of us are sharing this same page or the same chapter in the story, even though we all come from very, very different backgrounds or very different entry points, because I don't know what's going on in your life when you're running that race. I just know you're
Hmm.
out there and you're racing, and hey, I'm out there and I'm racing too, right? And it's like that's so cool that we get to share that time together. So I I think you should find a way to get a little more comfortable with being that inspiring person, because you are, because that same resiliency and strength that you are seeing in others, I see it in you. And I see it in the way you have fought to be able to do the races, to be able to show up, to be able to have those experiences, right? With anything, you could have just, again, you could have been like, well, I have a concussion now. I guess that's it. Running's done. Well, I was diagnosed with all these stress fractures. I guess I'm done. Right. Like, but
Yeah.
that's not the path you chose for yourself. And that is something beyond just that ethic of not giving up easily. That really does speak to, I think, your love of the sport, and maybe even your love for who you are as a runner. And that's just, me as that outside person kind of looking in and being like, I know her. I
Yeah.
know. Um, so
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, but you inspire me too. I mean, I did not have signal when, I was going to toe the line for Boston, and I actually had diarrhea that morning. And so I was like, I can't communicate with anybody. I was thinking, well, how much is an Uber from Hopkinton back to Boston after that? Because, when you're having episodes like that, you're already feeling weak. And then I'm thinking, and I'm going to run one of the toughest courses. And so your voice came into my head. Well, I'm not going to PR today, but what else can I PR in? And so I decided I'm going to PR in nutrition because that's the only thing that's going to save me. And your voice saved me that morning. And I just want to let you know that. And I think, we are so focused on what we can't do. Let's celebrate what we can do. That's where the focus should be. Like I can still do this. I, there was never an intention to race that morning. Like we were just going to finish. I mean, I didn't even pack super shoes. I haven't worn super shoes since the fall of 24. Like I've only been able to wear trainers because we've never been able to really go out at marathon pace anymore. Um, but I'm still happy to be there. I'm still doing what I love. I'm still grateful for every step. Um, and who knows how long I can do this, but I'm not going to worry about that now. I'm going to celebrate the moment, live in it, and not take it for granted.
My gosh. We need to put that like just everywhere. Put it on put it on some posters, put it on some stickers, just send it out there because it's a testament to how much you have been forced to change, right? Because of everything that's happened, but also how much you've embraced that change and have made it your own. Because again, I come back to this idea of sometimes those setbacks are what become the breakdowns, right? We can
Yeah.
take those setbacks and absolutely break down and then think, what's the point? It's not worth it. What's the point? It's not worth it. If I'm not going to be my best, or if I'm not going to get the PR, or if I'm not going to be able to do it this way or that way, then what's the point? And to me, I think that's the part of running that I'm so fascinated in because it's not what you like. We're not even talking about like what your body can do. Yes, it's what your body can do because obviously you're running, but
Right.
it's the meaning that you're attaching to that running, which is up here. It's
Yeah.
your mind. At that point, the thing that's the most challenging for you, it's your mind. It's not even your body. So I just think the your capacity to see it more broadly, and it makes me so happy to like my little voice, because there are sometimes where I'm like, I just feel like I'm shouting into the void. I don't even know, like, is anyone hearing me? Because like you say, 2023 London, that was where this whole idea for me of, oh, can a PR be something more than the time? Can we PR? And for me at that time, it was very much so, I am PRing and surviving my life and making it.
Yeah.
Like that is the PR. And I've had races where it's the same. It's like, can my PR just be my nutrition? Can I actually like do a race and finish it and be like, dang, I nailed the nutrition? Because inevitably for me, it's always like I'm really good, especially like with a marathon where I'm like, I'm really solid up until mile 20 and then the wheels fall off. And I'm like, yeah, I can't have another gel. If I have another gel, I throw up. And it's
But this
like,
is everybody else. Yeah.
yeah.
We're
So
all like that.
it's like
Yeah.
how can I have a different experience? And I've even had a race which I had one race where my PR, the PR that I wanted to set for myself was that I would not text my coach mid race, because my last few marathons, I would end up texting her with like, yeah, so I'm in the bathroom and it sucks right now. I don't know what's going to happen. Or I'm hurting and I don't think I'm going to be able to do this anymore. So I'm like, can I just have one race where I don't text her at all? Like, where we just don't reach out to her. Like, if I can do that, that feels like a PR. And I did have a race with that. And I was so proud of myself. And I'm like, see, the beauty of embracing PR, meaning something different, means you get really creative with what that is. And I think that just makes running a richer experience when you can expand beyond that. And I think it also helps, or I would hope to say that it helps in those moments when we don't have a lot of control
Yes.
how we can show up to our runs.
Yeah. One of the biggest lessons I ever learned was really, everybody knows that Tokyo is very strict. And I actually brought box water that adheres to the rule book. But the previous year, they weren't allowed to bring anything in. So I ended up going through the line where the volunteer was adhering to the previous year's rules. So it got confiscated. And I hadn't had water. I had walked a mile to the start. And so I'm sitting in the corral. I have no water. And the first aid station isn't until the first 5K. So yeah. So I'm panicking. So I've called Jessica on the course, like I have done this. Like, so you're thinking texts are bad. I've called her mid-race, but like, so this in this particular instance, I called her in the starting corral, freaking out, just freaking out. And thankfully, with the time difference, it was like Saturday night here in the US. So she was awake. And she said to me, Abigail, focus on what you can control. And so and I just, you know what? And I'm a good frustrated runner. Like usually my fastest runs is when I'm frustrated. And I was just like, oh, I'm going to show you all now. This is what's going to happen. But it did turn out I was really dehydrated, had to go to the medical tent. They did release me. But this was after I had already crossed the finish line and just a few minutes, like maybe 2 minutes from what my PR was. And then I passed out on the train back to the hotel. Yes. Yeah. And woke, I mean, so like I'm on the train, I'm like, I'm not feeling that great, and sometimes, you feel a little dizzy, after a
Mhm.
marathon and I'm getting the chills and all of a sudden I lose my hearing. I'm like, oh, this is not good. And then everything turns black, but my eyes are open. And so I woke up to Japanese residents. They were nurses. They had my legs up in the air. People were offering me Pocari sweats and chocolates. I mean, it's a good story. But um, it's, but I got that medal, and so I did not have to return to get that star. Thank goodness. But yeah.
Yeah, listen, it's
It
all part of the pivoting, right?
is pivoting. Yeah. Focus on what you can control, people. Just focus on what you can control. And that applies to everything, like not even just running. That's the lesson.
Absolutely.
That's the
Yeah.
lesson.
So you've shared a few memories with us
Yeah.
and a lot of, I think the theme of not only how people have inspired you, but I think how people have been there for you in those moments of doubt, in those moments of awe. And I'm curious to know, thinking back, how how do all these different experiences, how have they shaped who you are as a runner today?
Well, I mean, it's my relationship with running is very complicated, right? You can love it one moment and it can break your heart. I think everybody can relate to that. And I think, I have matured as a runner. Jessica has told me that I can't necessarily just sign up for more races right now because of FOMO. I mean, because I do have a few races on the schedule, but if I miss a race, it's okay. I think um, I've learned a lot with this journey, and I know that you ask some of your guests, what would you tell your future self
Oh,
as a
that's
runner?
great. Yeah, so go
Yeah.
ahead. Answer
Yeah.
that now so then I don't have to ask it later.
Yeah, I did my homework. So you don't have to race to be a runner.
Hmm.
That's um and that's very powerful for me because I mean my first year running when I joined my local run club because I was training for the Chicago Marathon for the first time, I had 25 races on the calendar. And that's really, I mean, maybe people like racing all the time, but really, for me, that was not sustainable. Um, so I had to redefine myself as a runner, and I'm okay with that. I am happy not to race, and um, even even if I didn't get the 6 stars, I think um, I actually let go of that idea last year when as we said, that I was really forced to pivot. Um, I had to let go of that idea and I had to make peace with that because we didn't know what my future would be. And and that's okay. um, to redefine that relationship all the time.
I mean, we need to because
Hmm.
we are always changing.
Yeah,
Our life circumstances are changing. And in a very parallel fashion to what I said earlier about you, in terms of you had no choice but to pivot. I
right.
think that also applies to as we move through the life cycle and as we move through, especially as women, changing bodies, changing hormones, changing,
Yeah.
changing movement needs, where I think of, just when I was in my 20s and I was running, I could just go. I didn't have to warm up. I didn't have to cool down. I just went out. Now I'm like, okay, so if I'm running this amount of time a week, I need to make sure I'm doing like a comparable amount of strength training a week
Yeah.
as well, to kind of like
Yeah.
just keep things happy. So it's not because I don't want to run more or because I only want to focus on running. It's because my body is saying, lady, you are now in your 40s. See, my dog's agreeing with me too. And my body's like, lady, you are in your 40s. And what you did in your 20s was great for when you were in your 20s, but now it's different. Now your body is changing, your muscle mass is changing, like all this stuff. And it has definitely been an interesting experience of, oh, I thought I knew my body, and now I
Hmm.
need to reacquaint myself with this new body, with this new body that honestly just doesn't recover as quickly as it used to. Like it just needs a little more time and it wants more rest and all those things. And that can be challenging as well. So to me, I just think of, we always have to be asking ourselves, why are we running? What is
Hmm.
motivating us to run? And how does it need to change in order for us to continue doing it? Because the doing the same thing over and over again, it can work for a period of time, but it's not going to work forever. And that's just like, because again, life is going to happen. You are going to happen to yourself. Everything, like things are just going to happen. So, um, I think running's great. I think running's great when we embrace
Yeah.
engaging with it differently.
Yeah. I mean, I can relate to exactly what you're saying. Ironically, I started off as a master's runner, but this is the year where my age is going to have a zero in it. So I am going through those stages now of women's body changing. And, unfortunately, we have a sport that sometimes has body dysmorphia. And that's a challenge too. Like, I don't feel comfortable now in these shorts. I don't like my race photos now. And you're comparing yourself to 20-year-olds on the course. And what are we doing here? So, yes, and I too don't recover as quickly. Everything hurts now. And so uh yeah, we're constantly evolving, but you got to listen to your body too, right? Because the moment running is no longer fun, then why are we doing it? So then you have to make it fun. Like that's how you're going to last in this sport, this relationship. You're evolving, and so is your relationship with running.
Yeah. And even just, and I think that's a really great place for a lot of us to start in terms of understanding like what is fun and
Hmm.
what makes running fun, because it might very well be that you are someone that what makes running fun is getting those PRs. And it's not to say that that can't be fun, but it is to say that eventually the PRs are going to stop happening.
Yeah.
So you need
Yes.
to redefine what fun is, because if not, your joy for running, it's going to, it's just kind of, it's going to putter out. I don't even know how else to say it, but it's going to be a little bit harder to tap into it if
Hmm.
that's the only way you connect running to fun. Whereas it can be, running is fun because of the PRs, but running is fun because I'm getting those PRs, traveling to a new state to do it, right? Like, what else can
Right.
we add to the experience so that if this particular element of fun is not met, then perhaps there is a different element of fun, right? Like, I love those people who do, the 50 state challenges or the running on every continent or
Yeah.
something like that, where it's like, okay, so here we're just layering. We're layering onto that idea of fun by adding something that is not just taste. So I love that. Okay. So we know I have a series of questions. You know what some of them are. I'm just going to ask them all in order, just for simplicity's sake, just for
That's
my
fine.
brain, for my organized
That's fine.
brain, to make sure I can be like, check, check, check. Okay. So, okay. So the first question is, if you could go back in time to speak to your younger runner self, what would you say?
I belong. Yeah, and that's actually, I learned from Amanda Katz, that you should write stickers like on your gels.
Your
And
gels.
that's what I did for Boston and New York. And I pulled up that one when it really mattered. And so, yeah, it's, finding your place, but like you already belonged. Like I didn't have to find my place. I already belonged.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Next question is that future one, right? So, what
Mhm.
hopes do you have for your future runner self?
Like I said, I don't have to race to be a runner, but also um, I like finding purpose. Like my life's purpose, part of it is serving others. I want to do something that's bigger than me. And so I can see myself really helping other runners achieve those goals. Like I'm already technically part of Achilles Chicago. So I just haven't I haven't done the training yet because I'm still recovering from Boston. But Jessica's already aligned about that. And so I'm really excited about that. Really excited.
This one's my favorite question, and it's, how do you celebrate yourself as a runner?
Oh, it changes all the time how I celebrate. Um, when I don't know if you saw this post, but like when I came back from Boston and I had the 6-star medal and the Boston medal, I wanted to go to my local run club, and I am a big fan of the berry chantilly cake from Whole Foods.
From Whole Foods. Oh, that cake is so
It's
good.
so good. And then everybody was going to show up. These people were messaging me while I was on the course. They were cheering for me. They did it for New York. They know how hard I have fought to finish this. And I needed to celebrate with them because I felt like this was a group effort. It takes a village, right? And so if you go into my social media, you'll see that one of the cakes was misspelled incorrectly. It says, congratulations does not have a D in it. But if you see the cake, but I didn't know. I mean, so, she asked, and she was so sweet, and I don't, want to embarrass her really. But she said, do you want something written on this cake? And I said, well, I wasn't really planning on it. And I had 2 cakes because it was going to be a big crowd. And she said, I've been practicing for 3 weeks. I would really like to write in the cake. I said, okay, that's great. And she had me spell out my name on a notebook. And then she showed me the cake that said 6 stars. I said, that looks fantastic. But she didn't show me the one that said, congratulations, Abigail. So we didn't see it until I opened it up at the restaurant. And we had such a great laugh. And 2 of the runners there that night are teachers. Is that what I was just But it still tasted great. And and to see them just so excited and me able to show my appreciation. I mean, that's, it was the group because they're the ones who showed up with me every week to do that weekly run. And they're the ones who were encouraging me. And even when I couldn't run, like I would still show up and walk with them. And so, yeah, I mean, I'd love to share it with them.
Running is in many ways a solo sport, but it's not, right? Like
Yeah.
a lot of the parts that are solo are supported by people. And I
Mhm.
think of that like, just for myself, where I do a lot of my runs by myself. And it's like, oh yeah, because I'm able to do my runs by myself because my husband is watching my kids, or because, there's grandparents, or because there's other people that are creating the space for me to have the time to run. So to know that you have so much support, it really does make those miles more meaningful. And even something as simple as just, and it's not simple because dang, those jackets are expensive, but like to
Yeah.
have a jacket that you give to your dad, right? Like here
Yeah.
is someone who's invested in the journey that doesn't get it, like probably doesn't get like why you want to run marathons, or like why is it that you're doing this for fun, probably doesn't get it, but still that collecting of the jackets is that way of connecting to you and to the goals that are important to you. So, okay, two more questions. And this one is the easiest question. And it's just, how do we better connect with you? Where can we get more information about what you got going on? Let us know just how do we get more of you?
Oh, sure. Instagram is probably the best way to connect with me. It's just Abigail Michelle, one word. I post about runs, some of my acting modeling gigs, about my bunny, and a lot of food. So hopefully you don't get sick of that.
You're like, you just get snippets of life
Yeah,
with that,
exactly.
snippets of life and some running.
Yeah.
Okay, final question is, what are your final words for us?
Oh my goodness, we could totally do a part two. I mean, I, it's really hard to condense it. It's show up for yourself. I mean, you are your biggest cheerleader. Um, Celebrate the wins, even what you think are small wins. Um, when I was able to start running again, not being on an Alter G or not being on a lever, both great tools. I was able to, but when I was able to run for 20 minutes, that's a big deal. Celebrate that. Don't take it for granted. All the small wins. It's not always about, um, finishing like at a big race. I mean, that's great too, but you got to show up for yourself when the crowds aren't there. Um, and so, yeah, I mean, and give yourself grace, right? It's not always going to be perfect, but as long as you're consistent, and this applies to life. So, yeah, celebrate yourself.
Abigail, thank you
Yeah.
so much for joining me on this episode and for chatting with me as the friend that you are. And I adore you. So thank you for being here. And everyone, we'll see you next time.
Well, thanks for
Bye.
having me. I adore you too.